welcome to my channel, Polished in Portland. I'm Christy, and in this video I'll be doing a fill on my client with a nude builder and this fun black and white nail art. My client brought in this amazing inspiration from Jordan Ward Nail Artist on Instagram, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the gel polish with my e-file. Here I'm using the Erica's Journey 30K electric file, and this is a medium violet safety carbide barrel. There's a layer of build on top of these nails with a striping tape on them, so it takes a couple more swipes for those. I'm currently using this in forward at between 26 and 30 RPM. So just taking off all the gel polish, and we're not going to chase everything around the edges and the cuticles. We don't want to risk getting the natural nail, and a lot of that will come off when we are hand filing for shaping and structure and removing some of the length for her grow out. Client has a preference for the length that they maintain of their nails. She prefers to keep them shorter, so I'm removing some of the length here based on her grow out. Now here on her thumb, you'll see that the tip is flatter. She did have a break, which did cause some lifting on the tip. So I'm going to use the very tip of my safety bit to remove that excess product at the tip, so that when I go to blend it with a natural nail, it's that much easier and less work with my hand file. So now we're going to go into the hand filing. Here I'm using a 100-180 grit hand file. It's a zebra file, and I'm seasoning it so I don't cut my client when I'm shaping up her nails. So now I'm going to go through and shape up her free edge and blend that with her sidewalls. Be sure that the length on both hands matches, so you shouldn't have one super long nail on one hand versus the other. And I'm filing underneath and on top to be sure that the shape is cohesive throughout. And I'm also using this moment to blend the remaining product on her nail with her natural nail. That also removes some of or all of the color that was left from the gel polish removal we did previously. So if you notice, I'm perfecting the shape of these nails before I lay down new products. I want to ultimately have the perfected shape before I lay the new product, so they have a good structure to start with. On this nail, she did have some lifting on her tip, so what I'm doing here is I'm removing the remaining products, because when I checked the tip there, I noticed that there was more lifting than I originally thought. So I removed that, the bulk of it with the e-file, and now I'm going through with the hand file and just removing the excess product. That way I am very careful to not do any damage to the natural nail. So I'm being very careful here to remove the remaining product, but I still want to be sure that her free edge is crisp and the exact shape that I want. So that way, again, when I lay down my product, it already has the shape that we want our end goal to be. And so we're doing the same with all the rest of them, but with the rest of these nails, we're blending the shape with the natural nail, removing that excess color, and keeping the integrity of her natural nail. So we're not prepping and re-prepping and removing all the product each time she comes in for a new service. again, here I'm blending the remaining products that I had left on the nail with her natural nail from where I removed that lifting. But I'm still perfecting that natural nail shape, so when we lay down the product, we have no excess filing that we have to do. I'm going to push her cuticles back with this cuticle pusher from Erica's. It's called the Boss Lady Pusher. So we're going to do that on all 10 nails. So going back to the e-file, I'm currently using the Russian nib bit. It is great for getting into the cuticles and sidewalls and perfectly blending the old product with the natural nail. You want to be sure you're using the very tip of the taper on this bit so you're not digging into the nail plate at any point and causing any grooves. This will also help kind of push the skinfold on their sidewalls away from the nail so that you can be sure you're removing any excess and etching the nail appropriately. Also, when you go to lay down your product, it's not going to be touching and slipping into the sidewall. This is quite possibly the most vital and important step of your entire service. The prep is where you want to really take your time and pay attention and be detail oriented, because this is what's going to ensure the length of wear for your clients. And that's ultimately what everyone wants. And it also will help you with proper application on the nail, because you'll have the sidewalls pushed away and the cuticle will be clean and you won't have anything obstructing your way when you're laying down your product. We've made our way back to this thumb. We just want to be sure that we're prepping all of the natural nail that's showing here around the old products. Now that we've done that, we are going to switch the direction of the e-file and we're going to be going in reverse. If you notice, the whole time I was going down just the left side of the nail. That's because the bit is moving in the forward direction. So when we're going down the left side, it's going to be pulling and pushing the skin fold away from the natural nail so you can have an easier access to the sidewalls. Now it's in reverse and we're going down the right side. We're only moving in one direction when it's in forward and reverse. In this instance, we are only moving to the right because it is in reverse. I'm also going through prepping the natural nail, and now that it's in reverse, I'm using the body of this bit to remove the excess callus around her sidewalls. That can be hangnails, it can be just calloused skin. With all the excess hand washing that we're all doing nowadays, this is always a really good step to do. And it's also, the bit is a good abrasive to remove that excess skin without causing any undue damage to the healthy tissue. One last thing to note is I'm also using this bit to spot check for any tiny bits of color that I might have missed when I was using my hand file to blend the remaining product. This is also a really good time to do that. So if you lay your new product over, you're not laying it over old color as well. Alright, now we have prepped all of the natural nails. We're going to go through, dust everything off, remove the cuticles, and go back through one last time with the cuticle pusher Be sure there weren't any spots that were missed, nothing's bounced back. Sometimes cuticles can do that, so we just want to give ourselves a quick little spot check. And then we can go through and cleanse the nails and get started on applying our new product. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply the primer to the natural nail and the enhancement all the way out to the free edge. I pull it all the way out to the free edge because when I do a fill, we are laying the bulk of the product back at the cuticle on the natural nail, but I also pull all the product all the way back out to the tip because I do adjust where the apex is, and I just want to be sure that the next layer of product is going to properly adhere all the way out to the free edge. Now I'm going to do my fill with LUXA Build 2 in Tawny, and here I'm going to use my number 6 brush, also from LUXA. What I just did was I wiped the brush on the lid to prime my brush. That way the product adheres to it well and isn't too bulky on the brush when I'm applying it, like I am right now, where I am laying down my what I call a slip layer. Some people call it a guide layer. The importance of laying down a slip layer would be because wet is attracted to wet when it comes to gels. So where I lay down a wet layer of the builder gel, very thin, it just wants to attract the next level of product to where the wet layer currently is. So you can see that around the cuticle, it flowed very smoothly to the edge of where I pulled the product to. Now I'm just going in with my number 2 detail brush, and I'm just gonna pull out the product from the back, down the sidewalls, out to the tip, and the free edge, and perfect my shape. This is exactly why we shaped and filed the nails earlier, so that when we build the fill, it is perfectly shaped. So go ahead and cure that. 60 seconds is a full cure, but when you're doing a fill on both hands, I typically just switch between each hand. So one hand in light while I do the other, so on and so forth until I finish all 10 fingers. One thing you'll notice throughout the video when I'm doing this fill is that I move her finger up and down. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm using that line of light you see there in the middle of her nail to help me determine that I have the proper structure of the nail and to be sure I don't have any weird lumps or divots. And I use that every time I am building a nail. This is exactly why I much prefer doing this method where I don't have finish filing, because I can see that I have built the nail appropriately based off that line of light. So now that I have done that, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video so you can see the rest of this fill. gonna go ahead and get started with the art. So the first tool that we're gonna use here is this number 3 striping brush from LUXA and the Noir and Blanc gel pots. So I like to lay down an excess amount, a pretty good amount of my colors that I'm using, whether it be for my gel polish bottles or one of these gel pods onto my glass palette. That it gives me a good amount to be able to dip my brush into when I'm creating whatever kind of art. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and just let you enjoy. Here you can kind of see that I kind of hesitate on where to start with my stroke on my brush. That's because sometimes I need to figure out the best angle to approach a shape or a line. But one thing to remember is that it's always easier to pull your brush when creating a line than it is to push. So always move your hand or your client's hand however you need to be able to pull that appropriately. And you can see my hair poking into frame with my curly hair there. Sorry about that. I try to get a little too close to the nail sometimes and obstruct your view. But now you can kind of see how I adjust her hand and my hand to be able to get the best angle to create the best shape that I'm going for. I've cured the white layer now, so when I go up against the white with this black, I'm not allowing any commingling of the colors to happen. So I just happened to only be showing you one hand at a time. So what I did here is I cured the white and I'm going through and creating the black line directly next to it. And then I'm going to cure in steps after that. So now we're going to go through and do the starbursts for the black. Quick tip for that is put a dot in the center of where you want these to be and use your liner brush to pull the color out of the dot. That will give it the tapered look and will also keep your lines nice and thin and crisp. that all of the final details, like the tiny little dots and the moons and the stars, are all added, I'm going to go ahead and cure this hand for a full 60 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and top coat and give her some cuticle oil, and then we're done. Now that we've put on her top coat and cured that all for 60 seconds, we apply some cuticle oil, and then we'll go through with a wipe and remove any excess oil on the nail to get good pictures. And here's our finished result. Thanks for joining me on this fill with some fun art. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and leave a comment below with what you'd like to see more of in the future, and I hope you subscribe, and see you next time.